Hi all, I'm Miriam Mortel, author of the book Lessons in Law of Attraction. It's available on Amazon. I should probably have put that in my other videos, and I need to put links also underneath, just letting you know where to get the stuff. I am not a coach. I am not someone on here trying to sell my services. I am just someone who wanted to help the world, okay? I actually work in the financial field. That's where I get most of my money from. You know, it's literally, this is just something I'm doing to help people out by talking about this. And I literally wrote my book just to be able to help people, guide people, make their life easier so they don't have to struggle. I went through a lot. Why should other people have to struggle? Let's take what I learned from my life, adapt it to yours, save yourself the pain, please. Okay? So I want to talk to you today about how things work. So I've talked about the mirror concept before. In one of the videos that it was like one of my podcast episodes, I've talked about that, and I talk about it in my book. So the world is basically your mirror, okay? Like every person, every circumstance, like everything that you're experiencing in your reality, like literally every single life experience is based off something you're thinking and feeling inside, okay? Ultimately, that is to get us to evolve and change and to become a bigger vessel for the blessings that we want to receive, right? So, you know, I've heard for years, it's actually a Jewish concept. As far as I know, if there's any other cultures that have it, let me know. If you're from another culture and you have this concept of creating a vessel, please let me know. I'd be really curious to find out. But as a Jewish person, I've always heard this concept of you have to, you know, create a vessel, but I never really understood what that meant. And I realized, well, we always are a vessel, right? But imagine, like, you know, we have a cup of water that's like a 3-ounce little bathroom cup, right? We're trying to pour like a gallon of water in it. It's not going to end well. It's not. Okay? So God needs us to make our cup bigger. And that, I think, is also when people are talking about like that we have to go through this expansion process. Like, it sounds like the same thing. We're expanding our consciousness. And that basically means just like viewing ourselves differently. So the mirror is there to help reflect back, so we realize what we have to work on so we can receive the blessings we want to receive. Does that make sense? So my point is that, you know, so if you're going through money struggles, for example, it means you have some kind of story about how money relates to you. Everything is how it relates to you. Everything is at the identity level. So you just want to think about, okay, well, what's my money story? What have I been saying about it? And then eventually through your story, you'll be able to see yourself differently. When you see yourself differently, you change your I am state, you change your state of consciousness, vessel grows, more money can flow in, right? In other words, you have to stop being, like, let's say the 3-ounce cup with regard to money represents the person who struggles with money. But if you have like a giant, I don't know, vase or a giant pitcher, something, whatever, put some kind of liquid in, you want something to pour into, right? There's a big difference. So let's say the little cup represented someone who says, I'm always struggling. That the person says, I'm always struggling, it's a little cup. But the person who says, life is easy for me and everything's working out for me, and, you know, even if things were tough in the past, things are getting better, and I'm the person who chooses to feel ease. I'm the person who trusts money's gonna come to me. And there's a bridge like that to get you from little cup to big cup, okay? And you have to go through a whole bunch of little shifts. Like in my book, I described that it's like when, so for anyone who watches football, I said this also 2 videos ago, that, you know, they do this little spin move to get to more yardage, right? So like, we're always kind of just doing what we can to get a little more yardage in life, right? To get a little closer downfield to get to that goal line, right? So we're always trying to expand our consciousness, and that's how we view ourselves. Everything has to do with how we view ourselves. But how can we know how we view ourselves without a mirror? Does that make sense? Okay. I'm saying that as a check-in point. When I'm saying, does that make sense? I understand I'm talking as a video. You guys can't, like, I can't hear your responses. But would love if you guys comment down below and let me know, does this make sense? The world is your mirror. It's there to give you feedback of where you currently stand. There's also often a little bit of a delay. So, like, don't get freaked out if you're like, whatever. Give it a few days, sometimes up to a couple weeks. Everyone's going to have a different range. Within 2 weeks, though, you should know for sure. I've seen anywhere from like within 3 days, for some people up to 2 weeks, depending on what it is, what kind of shift you're going to be making for a really, really noticeable difference and change, but for sure within 3 days you can see something if you change your mindset, right? So your mirror is literally like, just like you use a regular mirror for your reflection, you're like, well, this is a reflection of my thoughts and feelings. Let me check my mirror. Okay, if I'm still getting that, what do I need to work on? You don't want to bully yourself. You don't want to say, okay, well, what am I doing? And how can I be doing this better? And, you know, oh my God, like I need to frantically fix my thoughts. Don't be hard on yourself. It's like, you have to be gentle with yourself and say, okay, well, if I've been saying to people that I'm really struggling with regard to money, then obviously I'm thinking the thought that I'm struggling with regard to money, and maybe I need to fix that. So you just you know, again, using that same football analogy of just kind of getting a little more yardage, you might slightly change it to like, okay, I'm learning to feel better about money. I'm learning to feel better about my financial situation. You see how that feels natural? And again, you're talking to your subconscious mind in a natural way, so it takes it in more quickly. When you do that, I'm learning to do something differently. I'm learning how to think about money differently. I just learned that how I think of money is how money thinks of me. Right? Well, that's really how it works. You kind of have to think of money like it's a person, but I have to do probably a whole other video on that. But my point is, it doesn't matter. Money, relationships, health, it's all how you think about things, and you have a mirror, right? So like, you know, like with health, it could be, I think, in all honesty, there's a reason why health is the least addressed, talked about thing when it comes to manifesting. You know, whether people follow the law of attraction or law of assumption guidelines. So if people don't know the difference, I'll do another video on that, law of attraction versus law of assumption. Law of assumption is basically whatever you assume to be true is. Law of attraction is just, it seems like a more complicated version of just that. But it all amounts to the same thing. Your thoughts create, okay? Your thoughts are what manifest. And it's not just like people thinking, oh, I'm healthy, I'm rich, or my relationship is great, or, you know, I always get what I want, or like, yes, those thoughts will help you, but it's really about your mainstream everyday thoughts. You're sort of just sculpting them, and you're gradually sculpting them and sculpting them to finally portray like what you want to represent. Sorry, I just got that low battery notification on my phone. Hopefully it didn't show in the video. So that's what you want to do, right? Is you want to just use the mirror and whatever. So saying about, sorry, I got sidetracked with that. With regard to the mirror concept, right? That you, and with regard to your health, it's like health is tough because health can be coming from sort of like a lack of confidence in your body. It could be coming from feeling vulnerable. It could be where your subconscious mind just maps certain emotions in your body. So like health is something also I want to address separately, but especially with like money and relationships, which are the easier ones to change, believe it or not. There's a fairly easy once you understand the root of it. You're like, okay, well, what keeps happening? What's the theme that's chronically happening? Because that theme is based off of your thoughts. And then like take an audio recorder and listen to yourself and like see if that matches up. Like I literally caught myself saying with a certain situation that I was like, oh my God, it's so hard that blah, 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 right? And I was like, oh crap, that's my, sorry, pardon my language. I was like, whatever, that's where that's coming from, of just saying like, uh-oh, you know, I've really just, I've just felt like this sector of my life has to be difficult. And I was like, I've been working on in general, not thinking my life is difficult, but apparently this sector, you know, seeped through the cracks, right? So I kept getting reflections of like, and there was always some kind of like obstacle in that sector of my life because I kept saying, it's hard. I wouldn't stop saying it's hard. Like, I don't know why, but it just had this belief it was hard. Okay, I talked about that in my previous video, right? But my point is I needed that mirror, right? There's certain things like financially, you know, like I went through things like I would go through people like putting off doing business. I went through a phase. It was not pleasant. And I was like, am I saying I'm not a priority? I'm not whatever. And I'm like it took me a little bit to figure out like, you know, and it was a little bit that, but I was like, okay, well, but what's the overall story, right? So some of it was that, yeah, I can make money easily. Some of it was just like, I don't have to worry that like just changing my story to like, you know, we're like, I'm already doing it. And whatever story we change to, reality will eventually shift to. But again, we need that mirror. And it's not that we have to perfectly diagnose, but my point is, you're never supposed to yell at the mirror. A lot of times we try to fix things and we're like yelling at the person or complaining about the circumstances. They're literally just there for feedback so you can make your vessel bigger, receive more of a blessing. So it's like, I recommend you either record yourself in an audio recorder or you write things down in a journal or a notebook and notice like what's coming up in your life. What are the patterns? And then like examine your thoughts and wherever you see there's like a crossover, right? Like sometimes we think we're thinking one thing and we're really thinking something else that's really stupid and it's really preventing what we want. They're like, oh yeah, I've been thinking like, you know, like here's a relationship example, right? Because I was talking about money before. You know, oh, I think I'm like the best thing since sliced bread. I'm like the greatest whatever. I think I'm a catch. But no one seems to see that. Well, your belief is then that no one sees that. You see the problem? The belief isn't that how you feel about yourself, and obviously I describe someone having a little bit of an ego, but it's okay. We all have a little bit of an ego with some things. But you just identified you have this belief that that you have, you know, just basically this thought that like no one sees that in you. No one realizes how perfect you are. You feel unseen. So what do you affirm? People see me for who I am. People see that I'm really wonderful, that I'm really great. And whatever affirmation you say should really feel like, you know, and you can kind of step into your affirmations so they sound natural. Like, I'm learning to realize that people see that I'm really, you know, I'm really a special person, right? So that mirror is always giving feedback. So whether it's money, relationships, or even health, my point is, don't get mad at the mirror. I can't tell you, I used to like freaking punch the damn mirror. I used to do that. Like, I mean, obviously, I mean that not literally, figuratively. But I used to always get so mad and try to change my circumstances. I changed me. And literally, like, people around me started to show up differently because like, even the thoughts we think about other people are based off how we think about ourselves. It's always a story we tell about ourselves. Always. It always comes back to that identity issue. Like, no matter how you trace it back, you will get back to self, okay? So you want to start there and say, okay, well, what story is being mirrored back? Catch your thoughts. Oh, that's why it's mirroring. You fix it, and then, you know, if for some reason you don't see it right away, like you may have it come in a little bit different way. This happened a couple times to me. That let's say you don't see a change in someone's behavior after you really feel like you fix what's mirroring. You may suddenly feel like you can address that person differently than you could before, right? So obviously, like this could take effect in anywhere where relationships make a difference. So it could be in business, it could be personal, it could be even just your actions you take with regard to money too. But like, it could be that suddenly you feel the need to show up differently and say, you know, I really don't like how that was handled. And maybe you never had the guts to say that before, right? Or you say, you know, I've been really wondering if that client is going to give me their business, and now I really don't even care if they do or don't, because it doesn't matter. It comes from there or someplace else. I'm not dependent on that anymore. So some things you're going to feel an inner shift. And by the way, I guarantee you, if you try to like sometimes let the people go, they'll be like, can I work with you? Like, you know, whatever it is, that does happen a lot. But my point is, it's like, there's always some story. I always get nervous, by the way, recording in like one long shot, because I'm not good with video editing, just so you know. So I'm like, okay, whatever mess ups, stay in the video. I'm human, and that's, by the way, that's like my brand with all this. I am human. We are all human, and I want all my videos to be relatable, which is why I try as best I can to not edit, and also I am not so tech savvy with that stuff. So whatever software I don't have to use, great, straight upload to YouTube, much easier. So again, I hope all of this made sense, right? How life is your mirror, and that when you change, other people and other circumstances are going to change. When you change how you identify, when you change your story, when you change your thoughts. So it starts with thoughts and eventually goes to identity, right? vessel becomes bigger, more blessings come in. You're going to gradually see a change, or sometimes suddenly see a change in your 3D world. People respond differently. But it can't change until your consciousness changes. And your mirror is there to help you reflect your consciousness. So we have little mirrors for our outside experience, and we have people and circumstance mirrors to mirror what's going on in here. So I will catch you later. Hope that helped.